All right, so thanks for checking out my last video. That was a once in a lifetime type of collection. Um, this one is nowhere near as uh, on that level, but it still has some cool pieces to it. So this collection, just to give you a little backstory, I met this guy April or May of 2024. He came in. I bought a 51 Bowman Mantle off of him raw, along with two Gibson rookies and one Nolan Ryan rookie. And then it took a year and a half of following up to kind of get back together, and I was able to buy some more of his collection, which you'll see here today. So my favorite piece was the Pete Maravich rookie. I don't have this, so that was a nice addition. I think it does have a crease, so it's probably going to be like a PSA 1, but it's still a cool card. Before we get into the mantles, if anybody knows a lot about this, so this is I think a 1910, 1912 Sweet Corporal pin for Ty Cobb. Did a little research on this, but not too much. Does have some staining on it, but I guess, like, it's over 100 years old. I thought that was a cool piece that I picked up from this collection. So we'll jump into the mantles here. So we have the two Bazooka mantles. Then we have like post serial and stuff like that. I'll go through them. This is pretty much like the hand cut pile of mantles. Still cool to have like a lot of the different variations here. And then we jump into some more mantles. Nothing like crazy. Like some of them have some damage to them here. But even his damaged mantles, I still wanted to add them to my collection. Some more paper loss here. Maris and Mantle, K-Line. Mantle All-Star. Mantle All-Star. And then two of these home run leaders for Mantle and Maris. And then we have this. It's still like attached to the paper. Mantle on one side and Maris on the other side. 1962 post cards. So that's cool. Some more favorites from this collection. We got the Reggie Jackson rookie. Did not have one in my collection. I do have a couple O.J. Simpson rookies, but this one is actually in really good condition. And the centering's not too bad. We got the Roger Maris rookie. And the Johnny Bench rookie. And then we just have a whole, I'll go through this super quickly just to show you. These, there was a couple, just boxes, and I pulled them out, put them in top loaders. A lot of them not in great condition, but still good enough to put in top loaders. Old school Batman. Wilt Chamberlain. Jerry West. This is a really cool Bart Starr. We have some Pete Maravich cards here. I'll try to go through these quickly. Some more vintage Batman. This was cool. Really old Daniel Boone card. And then this one's a Gaudy Daniel Boone card. That was cool. And then I'm not really into hockey, but these two have some value. So we have Bobby Orr and Ken Dryden. And then we got some more vintage football. This one had pretty much all sports, which you don't see too much. Got some vintage basketball. Probably all in 2 and 3 grade, if I had to guess. And then there's some of course, with ones. These are all the vintage, well, not all the vintage, but like the bigger names. A lot of commons and stuff, but I kept those in the boxes for now. We have the Hank Aaron Bazooka. Roger Maris. Unless this is the rookie. Sorry if I misspoke. Where is that other Roger Maris? I know one of these is the rookie. Sorry if I misspoke. I got 2 bad comments on my last video. People said I didn't deserve a collection like that. But, you know, I have a lot of cards. I just don't have a lot of vintage. And I was always looking to kind of get into that for my personal collection. So I'm just kind of learning. So I apologize if I say anything wrong. Hank Aaron, Bob Gibson, Roger Maris, and Clemente Post. And then we have just like a stacks of like the bigger names. We have OJ. There's gonna be a lot of repeats. A lot of Johnny Unitas cards. A lot of these I'm not going to grade because of the condition, so I have to figure out how I want to sell these. Maybe as a whole, like if I sell them in lots on eBay. I am going to the Philly card show this Saturday with my 2 kids. Gonna maybe stop at PSA and JSA to get some things, some cards sent out to PSA from that last big collection, and then I have some autographs to drop off at JSA, and then pick out some Christmas gifts for the boys. I'll have them pick out some cards. Got some name-its. A lot of Larry Zonka cards. Probably not high value, but still, you know, like enough to put in the plastic. Zonka, Larry Zonka. And these are just in like boxes thrown in there with no penny sleeves or nothing, like. So I took a couple hours last night to sort through them. And then my kids helped me put them in penny sleeves and top loaders. Some Bob Greaseys. I do sell a lot of graded cards on eBay, so I might try to like maybe lot these up per player. See if that works out. If I can get some hits on eBay just to kind of release these back into the wild. What do we have here? We have 2 Gordie Howe and Jerry Sloan, and then some more vintage football. Greg Landry, Bubba Smith, Johnny Riggins, George Blanda. A lot of Dick Butkus cards. Of course, going through the collection when he was a kid. He's probably in his 60s, 70s now. He wrote his name, or he tried to autograph the player, like he autographed a card with the player's name on it. So a lot of those gonna have to toss out. I guess that's just what kids did back in the day. Just trying to go through these quickly. If you wanted to see like even the smaller cards in some of these collections. Yeah, they had a million Dick Butkus cards. So those maybe I'll have luck if I lot them up. Len Dawson, Landry, Sonny Jurgensen, So you could probably have a good idea what era that this guy collected. Some basketball. Let me see here. And these are just nothing crazy, as you can see, now that they fell over. And then these are, you know, just some more random, like Archie Manning and Gale Sayers, more Johnny Riggins, Plunkett, Paul Hornung. No Jim Rice, Jim Brown. Still looking for my first big Jim Brown card. So that's pretty much it. So thanks for checking out, and you know, if you're going to the Philly card show this weekend, you know, best of luck, and we'll see what the next collection we run into next. Thanks.